Hi, ladies. It's Angela here. How are you doing as we move towards the holiday season? We're right in the thick of it now. For women that are in the US, you've gone through Thanksgiving holiday and it's a few weeks, countdowns on until Christmas. People all over the globe definitely are in holiday time for the most part. We are also, for many people, in a colder, darker time of year. You can see actually my background is still nice and green. I feel lucky and it's not that cold, but many of us are indoors more and we're feeling lethargic, low in energy. Many women that are in the perimenopause, menopause shift feel like they are struggling with low energy, low motivation, weight gain, and just generally feeling quite flat. And I find that many women are blaming it on their lowering sex hormones as a female over 40 and 50. And this is what we are told. The reason that we're fatigued and gaining weight and feeling flat and having low libido and not feeling like ourselves has to do with those plummeting sex hormones. Now, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, those are our sex hormones. They are definitely going downhill for sure. They're accelerating from the age of about 35 onwards, declining down through that transition into menopause and beyond. That is true. However, one of the hormones that actually is really helpful for helping us maintain our energy, our vitality, some of our muscle mass versus fat mass, so it helps us with our metabolic health, is testosterone. And many women don't realize, but testosterone actually should not be declining as quickly as those other sex hormones. And some of it is produced in the ovaries, like estrogen and progesterone, but a lot of it is actually produced in the adrenal glands for us. And what else is produced in the adrenal glands? Those hormones that help us buffer and manage stress, cortisol, and to a certain extent, DHEA. So many women are running around at this time of year. They've got that to-do list. They've got all these extra activities and events to go to, and they're just trying to manage everyday life in the face of these lowering, changing hormones. And they think that it's all hormonal, and that's why they feel terrible. But we have to be looking at labs to understand what's really going on. So I just had a consult with one of my clients who said she's feeling exactly how I described. And we did a Dutch test with her, which is a comprehensive hormone analysis. And we saw that her estrogen and progesterone are lowering on the way towards menopause. She's in her mid 40s. Her numbers are within normal reference range for her age, and they are fairly balanced. But what was really noticeable is that her testosterone was catastrophically low. Like it was below the low norm for her age by far. And her adrenal hormones, especially cortisol, was through the roof high. So it was high throughout the day. So when you do a Dutch test, you actually measure cortisol at 4 or 5 different points throughout the day, morning all the way to evening. And there should be what's called a nice kind of rounded bell curve with cortisol. It's a little bit low in the morning, but it rises for us throughout the day while we're awake and functioning. And it starts to gradually lower mid to late afternoon to get us ready for bed. This is what should be happening. But for some of us, we have cortisol that's way too high throughout the day. And what happens when our adrenals are stimulated this much to produce this much cortisol is the adrenal gland is so busy doing this and tending to this. Cortisol is life for us. It's that survival mechanism that is primitive in our bodies, in that if we have high cortisol, there is danger, there is threat. We're thinking we've got to run from the bear, we've got to run from that fear. And so what happens is we shut down some of that other hormone production. And so testosterone is one of those hormones that the production goes way down when our cortisol production goes way up. So, there's only so much you can do by adding hormone replacement therapy. Many women say, I think I need HRT. I think I need testosterone. I've read about it. I've seen it on social media. I have all the symptoms. This is what I need. So I encourage you to understand the bigger picture a little bit more, because often what women really need is they need to get the stress off the body so that those hormones, although they're lowering, they can lower at an even rate. And when they do that, then we don't feel so crummy. But when we have catastrophically low hormone levels for our age, lower than they should be, and we have cortisol really high, this is when we can start to run into trouble with not only symptoms, but also the potential for development of disease processes. High cortisol, especially on an ongoing basis, is very inflammatory to our tissues, to our cells, and it can start to promote things like disease processes. It's absolutely essential to get that threat off of our bodies from a safety perspective, disease prevention perspective, not just for us to feel better, but we will feel better as our cortisol comes down if it's sky high, I guarantee. One thing I definitely suggest that you do is try and think about if you feel like you are always running from the bear, you're always got that adrenaline in your system, you're always thinking about what's next, you can never sit down and relax and just be calm. You probably have high cortisol, high adrenaline, high cortisol. And again, this is very inflammatory and it's probably impacting your sex hormone levels and balance. No doubt it's probably also impacting your mood, your energy levels, your weight, just your overall vitality and how you're feeling. So some things you can do right away are slow down, sit in front of the fire if it's cold out, if you have one, take some deep breaths, and really honestly do nothing. Sometimes that is what the brain needs when it's busy all the time, the brain and the body. We don't need to do more exercise to try and lose weight. We don't need to go into severe caloric deficits to try and lose weight. We don't need to bring in hormones because our hormone levels are crashing. We need to get the stress off our body so that our body can do what it needs to move through this transition properly. So the perimenopause menopause shift can be pretty hairy, I'm going to be honest, if the stress and the cortisol and the adrenals are out of balance. And it's very common in the world we live in today. So I hope this helps you to understand some of the connections. I do run tests to understand where those imbalances could be for you, so you can understand actually how to develop a plan. There is more things that we can do beyond some lifestyle strategies and relaxation techniques. There is actually treatment protocols and plans that I put in place for women to help them rebalance their adrenals, their cortisol, their sex hormones, and really their overall health. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. I'm happy to have a consult with you. You can go to my website, www.angelasimpsonfunctionalmedicine.ca. I'd be happy to have a call with you, chat about your health, chat about if it might be a good fit for us to work together, and chat about what your top concerns are right now and maybe what you've tried and what has worked but what hasn't and why you're actually still feeling the symptoms that you are. So there usually is an answer. I find running the proper labs is the first step. Understanding your health history, what's worked, what hasn't is really important too. You really need to be working with someone who's experienced in the area of women's health, functional wellness, and overall whole body health. And this is what I absolutely love to do, is work with females just like you that may be struggling in these areas, and you want to learn how to connect the dots and understand the root causes of why you're feeling how you're feeling and how to get a solution that's actually going to last. So again, thank you so much for watching me here. If you're watching me on my YouTube channel, please make sure you give me a thumbs up if you're liking what you're seeing. You'll see more and more videos about what I'm doing and how I can help you. You can also make sure that you tell your friends, share it with them. The more women that we have understanding what's going on in their bodies and how to heal and balance themselves, really the better off our entire world will be. So thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you soon. And again, if you want to reach out for that individualized consult to understand about your health, what you could do, please feel free. Thanks, ladies. Bye for now.